Alright, so looking at today's chart again, I know I kind of put this old chart up here, and this is just 145 of the modals. So we'll reinstate that. We'll go back to the other chart if that is a problem. I'm sure as soon as we do that, we're going to want to get back to this diagram. So let me just focus on, let me give it the new chart look here. Okay, so we're going to stay with the new chart. So now, we have the modals here. So this is C, A, G, E, D, C again. Okay, and these are the different modal forms. So what we were playing before, a little bit around that Aeolian, to look at it in the D cage there, because that's what I was playing, pretty much that D cage, there was our root D shape up there. We started down here, and our second inversion Aeolian, which was a C minor shaped Aeolian. Believe it or not, we were doing a C minor shaped Aeolian, 3, 6, root 3, right there. That's C minor shaped. See, because C, the C major shape is like this. This is a C major arpeggio is, but the C minor arpeggio would be, so that's what we've got there essentially, is the same shape as the C minor shape. That's why we call it a C minor shape down there. C minor shaped Aeolian, sixth, whatever the key. So the sixth of E would be C sharp, like that. So when you're looking at just an isolated region of the fretboard, not trying to put a fret nut on it, and, so even though the numbers are the hard numbers, and these are the string shapes, and D is always going to be 2, 2, 3, 4, what really at this point defines the key is where you put the fret nut, just as much as anything else. So we can do a little thing with that. If we put the fret nut here, then we're pretty much saying that this is the E note, this is the A note, this is, no matter what the number, but because remember, we're going to move that fret nut. Then you look at your regular tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E. Okay, if I move the fret nut, so now in the diagram we can move the fret nut. We just put the fret nut, let's say here, okay, and then see if I can go into cursor mode. So this would go away, right? And if that becomes our guitar, then the E, E, A, D, G, G there, B, and the E again. The E would become the fifth of whatever that key is, and E is the fifth of A, because that's I put it there. Now, if I had put the fret nut in an odd location, such as right here, do we have that? If I put the fret nut, say, right here or something, obviously then we'd look at, the string shapes. Are they going to be the same, or are they not going to be the same? They should be the same. So let's just assume that they are. The E would become essentially the A flat there. E would become the 5 augmented fifth of whatever, you know. So if you want to say you want to be in the key of the sixth there, you know, what key is E? The essentially the flatted sixth or the augmented, and that would be the key of either G sharp or A flat. Okay. So it works like that, but we better stick to the 5 cage keys for now. You know, it certainly has that kind of versatility. It doesn't matter how you do it. It might be better to show that with a fretboard that doesn't have the cage shape, the string shapes. Okay, let's look at this particular one. The fret nuts are already drawn. Okay, but no one would argue that this would work a half step up or a half step down. You know, so, but let's look at the fret nuts as they're already drawn here. So this is the regular E-tuned fretboard, where E is the third in this drawing. Okay, but it's E-tuned. You know, it's the key of C though, because we're designating E as the third. If we're over here and this was the fret nut, like on my guitar, okay, then the low E note, let's say my guitar isn't, it's not, actually on your guitar, if you look at it, if this was the low E note, if this is the fret nut, then it would be the key of E. If this was the fret nut, the E would be the second, it would be the key of D. If this was the fret nut, the E would be the third, it would be the key of C. That kind of thing. So instead of moving the numbers, we're moving the fret nut. That's all. It's getting, if it's too much for you, we'll just get back to the regular topic of the lesson. Alright, so sticking to the the chart, okay, which is the chart number 152, the caged pair circle for cage bound modal arpeggio notes. So, looking at the cage string pair circle. By the way, that background started to look like one of those microwaves shed in the field, right? That was a vision. So that's why they started calling computers pavilions instead of mansions, you know. So it wasn't HP mansion, it was like, keep buying these computers and you're going to live in a pavilion. You know what a pavilion is? It's just got a roof and a foundation and no walls. Anyway, I've been around computers for a long time, so you know, I'll never be without, and I enjoy the desktop, the big screen and everything. That's why you always see me looking up. I'm looking up at my big screen. So this is the new idea here. And I wanted to make this diagram easier. So this is one way to look at the string pair circles, and the whole thing's about targeting notes. So when we look at this would be a little too easy if we look at it. So let's look at our arpeggio stacks. We can look at the Phrygian here for a second. So we're playing a Phrygian minor arpeggio. I don't want to get too far from the at any point we might be on any one of these notes, or let's say you're not even playing a Phrygian arpeggio. Let's say you're just playing anything, you know, it happens